Don't ever tell someone from America's heartland that baseball is only a game.
America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
For 40 years, Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, has been the college baseball world's field of dreams, as future Major League stars have come to showcase their talents and battle for a national championship. The cream of this year's crop has been All-America Scott Bryant of the University of Texas. His bat has carried the Longhorns to the title game. And today, it's his arm that's the focus, as he'll be the Texas starting pitcher. Wichita State is shocked to be in this position, but led by catcher Eric Wedge, they've overcome crippling injuries to have a shot at the title. Two traditional powers have come to Omaha to make their dreams come true.
People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
And despite an early morning rain, they have come for this championship game, just as they have all week long. And now a ray of sunshine on the horizon. And here this afternoon in Omaha, Rosenblatt Stadium, they will decide the national championship between Texas and Wichita State. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. The Texas Longhorns, they have one of the great baseball traditions in the college game. They will be shooting for their 5th national title here today. For Wichita State, they have never won it. In fact, this is the first time that the school has played for a national championship in any sport. Here's how the two teams got here. It was Texas going unbeaten in the Western bracket, 3-0, and that gave the Longhorns last night off. Meanwhile, Wichita State roared out of the East, coming from the loser's side. They beat back Florida State last night. And so this afternoon, it will be the Longhorns and the Shockers for the title. Interesting pitching confrontation here today. Scott Bryant for Texas, Greg Brummett for Wichita State. Let's bring in my partner here this afternoon, that future Hall of Famer, great second baseman, Joe Morgan. And Joe, gee, the two pitchers are quite a contrast today.
That's right, Brent. Scott Bryant has only pitched 16 innings all season. 4 here in the College World Series, so Texas doesn't really know what they're going to get today. On the other side, Greg Brummett has won 12 ball games in a row, and their team has the adrenaline flowing from last night. I think they could get off to a good start. It may take Texas a little while to get started offensively today.
You like the fact that they played last night?
Well, I think it's a plus. Anytime you can play and win, you get your adrenaline flowing, and it can carry over to the next day. It's like winning a doubleheader. You come back the next day, everything's in your favor.
All right, so coming up now, it'll be Texas against Wichita State for the national championship in Omaha, Nebraska.
This CBS Sports Saturday special edition, the 1989 NCAA College World Series Championship, is sponsored by Budweiser. Beach with age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. The U.S. Army, where you get an edge on life. Be all you...
This afternoon, the lineup for Texas will start with center fielder Lance Jones. Batting second, and the man who solidified this team by moving to second base is David Tollison. The third hitter is pitcher and designated hitter Scott Bryant. Now, if he leaves the game as the pitcher, he stays in the game as the DH. The cleanup hitter, and a young man with a very quick bat this week, left fielder Arthur Butcher. The fifth hitter, and a youngster who has slammed 2 home runs in Omaha, third baseman Craig Newkirk. First baseman David Lowry bats 6th. Right fielder Jeff Schultz bats 7th. And the shortstop is Steve Bethea. He has also discovered the long ball in postseason with 3 home runs for the Longhorns. The catcher is John Prather.
The defense for Wichita State will have Mike McDonald in left field. Jim Oddly will be in center field. Todd Dreifort is the right fielder. Mike Jones will be at third. Fine fielding shortstop Pat Mears. P.J. Forbes will play second base. Bryant Winslow will be the first baseman. Player of the Year Eric Wedge will do the catching. And 2-0, Greg Brummett will be on the mound.
And that traditional Longhorn salute over in front of their first base dugout just a moments ago. Folks down in Austin, they're familiar with this sight. Twins will see if they can hook their first of the last couple of years and their second of this decade. Cliff Gustafson won it back in 1983. What a marvelous record, Joe, he has as a college baseball coach.
Well, the record's even more devastating because he was second in 1984 and 85. So he's been here before, and he knows how to coach in the big ball games.
7th time that Texas has come here under Gustafson this decade, and they're up against the veteran right-hander Greg Brummett, the senior pitcher at Wichita State. And the right-hander will look in at Lance Jones, the Texas center fielder. First pitch down low. Your plate umpire today is the veteran Dale Williams. He's a head linesman of the National Football League. Gustafson, the veteran, coaching down in third base box. His counterpart, Gene Stevenson. And again, missing low is Brummett.
I think the only thing that can hurt Wichita State today will be for Greg Brummett to give Texas a couple of early base runners, give them a chance to run and get started. As I mentioned before, I think the edge goes to Wichita State because they are coming off a win last night.
Strike on the outside corner, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Brummett's defense will shade toward first base as frequently as they can because of an injury, which we will fill you in on. Shortens up to bunt and takes strike 2, and the count goes 2-2. The first baseman, Bryant Winslow, at first base, has a stress fracture of the right leg. So the second baseman is forced to come over hard toward that hole, and P.J. Forbes frequently will take an extra step in that direction in his setup. 2-2. And it goes full.
Well, I think they're a very fine defensive ball club. I think when you have a weakness at first base, it doesn't show up nearly as much as it would, say, in the middle of the diamond, because most of your balls will be hit in the middle of the diamond. So they can cover for him today.
Ground foul, and the count stays full at 3-2 on center fielder Lance Jones. Now, along with Williams, who is working behind the plate, and the rest of this umpiring crew and their veterans, Gus Steiner at first, Bob Jones at second, Ron Graham, Bruce Ravan, and Bob Roberts are working the outfield lines as they go to 6 umpires here for the championship. Down low, and the leadoff hitter walks.
One thing about Scott Brummett is he tries to keep the ball down. He throws a sinker and a slider. Those are his 2 best pitches. He can throw a straight fastball that he gets up in the strike zone when he needs a strikeout, but he is basically a sinker ball pitcher with a good slider.
He has walked 4 here at the College World Series. He's 2-0 for Wichita, and this is David Tollison, right-handed hitting second baseman, stepping in for the Longhorns.
And these 2 guys, Jones and Tollison, are the guys that they will hit and run with, steal a few bases with. These are the catalysts for their offense. They try to get guys on base in front of Scott Bryant, of course, but they try to move them up into scoring position as quickly as possible.
The catcher is Eric Wedge. He displayed a tremendous arm last night against Florida State. And there's first pitch strike to Tollison. Wedge was drafted by the Boston Red Sox. And he will remind some of Carlton Fisk when he stands at the plate, and about the same size as Fisk, and Red Sox fans are certainly hoping that he enjoys the same kind of a career. A quick throw over by Brummett.
Well, we might add here that a pitcher in the College World Series is able to jump and throw to first base, whereas in the major leagues you have to keep in contact with the rubber.
Down low and missing again. Well, you mentioned the rules, Joe, and that gives us an opportunity to take a look at some of the differences.
Well, there you see they have a DH, and they also, the aluminum bat is permitted as well as the graphite bat. Relaxed ball rule, no roll blocks, you can't run over anyone, and you have to have ear flaps, a double ear flaps.
Again, a throw over, which forces Jones, the leadoff man for Texas, to hit the dirt. What about the effect of the rain on this natural grass infield?
Well, I think it does have an effect.
Ball is in the air, base hit to center field. And coming around to third base is Jones. So Texas puts runners on the corner with their first 2 hitters against Brummett.
And that's exactly what Gustafson likes to do. He likes to hit and run with those first 2 guys, and they do it very well. There, Jones is on the move, and Tollison goes to right center field with the ball, and that's perfectly executed hit and run play.
Now, one of the most dangerous hitters in college baseball, Scott Bryant. Those are his stats on the season. Since he became more of a pitcher in the postseason, he has not yet hit the home run. Coach Gustafson wondering if perhaps that has affected his long ball hitting here. Taking the first pitch outside and low for a ball.
I always feel that when you try to do two things on a baseball field, pitch and be a hitter, I think one affects the other. And I think what has happened is he's concentrating so hard on his pitching that I think it's affected him as a hitter.
1 ball, no strikes to Bryant. And he stepped back off and a throw over, and he picks the man off first. Terrific move by Brummett.
Brett, this is a play I disagree with. He fakes a throw to third. Here's the fakes throw to third. Now he comes back to first base, and he's able to pick off Tolleson. There you see Tolleson moving away, and he's out by a mile. The reason I do not like that is the rule book says that the pitcher is not supposed to deceive the base runner. If he didn't deceive the guy at first base then, I don't know what he did.
Outside corner for a strike with that fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike on Bryant. Texas with a man on third and 1 out after Tolleson is picked off. Brummett using the full windup against Bryant. Swung on and missed.
Another thing about the pickoff is that's something you usually do not see in a Gustafson coached team. They're usually very fundamentally sound, especially with their leads at the bases.
Bryant averaging a homer every 16 at bats, taking 1 outside, and the count goes 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And I think you'll see Greg Brummett pitch him away all day. He will try to get the slider on the outside corner. When he comes in, it'll be bad with the fastball off the plate inside.
Swung on and missed.
You see the catcher setting up on the outside. This is a good slider away from Brummett, and Bryant just chases it. You see Bryant here. He gets out on his front foot a little bit, and the pitch is away, and there's nothing he can do with it.
And that brings up the left fielder, Arthur Butcher. Taking a strike on that outside corner, that knee-high strike effective here in the first inning for Brummett. But the key play was the pickoff at first base. Swung on and missed.
Butcher hitting behind Bryant has been very effective throughout the year. He's a very streaky hitter, but when he gets hot, of course, he can carry the ball club just like Bryant does. But he's a good left-handed hitter, and that's what you want behind your strong power hitter that's right-handed in the lineup.
And he struck him out. Consecutive strikeouts for Brummett. Texas threatened, but Brummett picks a man off first and then strikes out the 3 and 4 hitters for the Longhorns. And Wichita State will be coming to bat for the first time in this national championship game. And they will send up center fielder Jim Audley, P.J. Forbes, the second baseman, and the left fielder Mike McDonald when we come back. Center fielder Jim Audley will lead off. Batting second is Patrick Joseph Forbes, the second baseman. Mike McDonald in left field. The Shockers' most valuable player, the catcher Eric Wedge, bats cleanup. Then the first baseman, Brian Winslow. The shortstop, forced to move from third to short because of an injury, is Pat Mears. Todd Dreifert is the right fielder. Mike Jones, the third baseman, batting ninth, and a young man who hit the biggest home run of the World Series last night, Mike Wentworth.
And the Texas defense will have Arthur Butcher in left field. Lance Jones will be the center fielder. Jeff Schultz is in right field. Craig Newkirk is the third baseman. Steve Bethea is the shortstop. David Tolleson will play second base. David Lowry will be the first baseman. Inspirational leader John Prather is the catcher. And on the mound, Scott Bryant.
The big right-hander, Scott Bryant, and he'll square off against Jim Audley, the center fielder. Hey, Joe, Bryant was drafted by your old team, the Cincinnati Reds. Will they use him as a pitcher or a hitter?
I'd say a hitter. Cincinnati believes in hitting.
That's a pretty good-looking fastball.
It's a good fastball. He has an excellent fastball. I think the problem that he has is that he hasn't pitched enough innings, so around the third or fourth inning, you have to look for him to get tired.
Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. An amazing story, Scott Bryant. He went down to the bullpen during a game to convince Coach Gustafson that he indeed could pitch for the Longhorns. Missing outside, and Cliff's son, who's a coach, came back and said, Coach, there's a young man down there throwing some heat in that bullpen. You better take a look at it. Brings it into a game, missing a little bit high. What about Bryant's control?
Well, I think that's the key factor here. He's throwing very hard early here in the ball game, but he may be overthrowing, trying to throw a little too hard, and his control has always been suspect. He struck out 22 guys, but he's also walked 14 this season.
3-1 pitch to Oddly, misses, and the leadoff hitter walks for Wichita State. P.J. Forbes, the second baseman. That was the 6th walk that Bryant has given up in 4 1/3 innings here in Omaha during the World Series. P.J. checking the signs from Coach Stevenson.
I think one thing that Texas cannot afford to do is fall behind early.
Miles an hour on the Jugs gun with that knee-high strike. John Prather, the catcher, got the sign from the dugout, flashed it on to Bryant, and there's the throw over to Lowry at first base.
I think he will be a better hitter, I think, in the long run than he will be a pitcher because he loves to hit. I think that's the key. He said he loves to hit.
Pitch out. Runner was not going.
That's a tough call right there when the guy has just walked the hitter and he's struggling with his control, and then you put him in the hole again by giving one ball away. He's throwing hard enough that they're going to have a shot at him at second base anyway if he tries to steal.
See if the signs are called from the Texas dugout. Passed on to Prather. Wichita State catcher calls his own. Runner going, throw down, and he's got him.
That's an excellent throw by Prather because that was a tough pitch to throw on. The ball was a breaking ball away. We'll get a look at it as the ball's breaking away and Prather has to reach out and get it. It's a hard slider from Scott Bryant right there. He backhands it, comes up, gets rid of it very quickly, and he's right on the money. Perfect play by the catcher. There you see, he got a pretty good jump at first base. Oddly didn't. He runs very well. Just a perfect throw.
Texas turning in a fine defensive play. Pitch is foul back into the crowd here in Rosenblatt Stadium. And it counted 1 ball and 2 strikes on Forbes. Wichita, about 200 miles away from Omaha. A lot of their fans have driven here for this championship game. In fact, they were here all week. Check swing. Did he go? And he did not, says Gus Steiner at first base. He is a familiar sight at the World Series, the one-armed umpire. As a teenager, he was involved in a serious automobile wreck, and that's how he lost his right arm, and he has become one of the finest college umpires in the land. Chopped down into the ground.
If Scott Bryant is able to get out in front of these hitters, he will be able to strike out a lot of hitters and control them because he throws so hard that his slider breaks down and away. You don't have a lot of time to wait for it to break. And you'll see a lot of these hitters chasing the slider if he can stay ahead in the count. But if he's behind in the count and has to throw the fastball, then they'll be able to swing it only strikes.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Pretty good pitch. Scott Bryant wants it anyway. We'll get a look at it. It's a breaking ball that maybe stays a little high. At least that's what the umpire Dale Williams says. Looked pretty good to us.
Fastball down low, and Forbes coaxes the second walk out of Bryant, who is still unhappy about that call on 2-2. This is a big field. Rosenblatt Stadium. Down the lines, it's reachable, but you can see what happens as it reaches the power alleys in left and right center, and then it goes out to 420 feet in dead center field. The wind is coming over right field today. right-handed hitter has a chance, but it would be very, very tough for a left-handed hitter to pull one and hit it out here this afternoon.
The ball normally carries well to left field in this ballpark anyway.
McDonald, the left fielder, taking a pitch down low for a ball and control. Bryant's problem in the first inning as Prather goes out for a few words with his pitcher.
Well, I think this is something that we anticipated, is that he may not have his control at the beginning of the ball game, and Texas cannot afford to stay with him very long.
And almost immediately, the Texas bullpen gets active. The left-hander warming up down there. Number 11 is Brian Dare. Now, he is their ace relief pitcher, but Gustafson will not hesitate to bring him in here early in the game. Smashed to dead center field and playable. Jones making the put out, and there are 2 out. What's your feeling about the aluminum bat? How would Joe Morgan like to have played with that?
I think it would have added about 25 points onto my batting average. I think that's exactly what it does do. It adds about 25 points on the batting average, and it adds 5 to 10 home runs a season to a guy that hits 20 home runs a year. So it would be quite a weapon. I don't think it would last in the major leagues because you'd kill all your third basemen and all your pitchers because the ball really jumps off the bat.
There's the alignment against the cleanup hitter for Wichita State, and the big catcher, Eric Wedge, took over as the Shockers catcher as a freshman and has been there ever since, taking that fastball strike. Bryant has thrown 8 balls, 7 strikes, and 1 controversial pitch here in the first inning.
This is quite a confrontation here. Wedge is a good fastball hitter, and of course, Scott Bryant has a good fastball. This is power against power.
Bottom of the first inning, no score. Wichita State and Texas for the NCAA baseball championship. Down low, nice stop there by Prather on the short hop.
Prather's a very fine defensive catcher. We've already seen how well he throws, but he's also mechanically very sound.
Pretty good lead. The pitch gets away from Prather and through, and going down to second base is Forbes.
That's one of the problems that Scott has had all season. We'll get another look at it. 6 of his 8 wild pitches now have come from the stretch. There you see the breaking ball. The ball bounces. It kind of skids underneath his glove. He got down in front of it. He was trying to anticipate the bounce. It didn't bounce. It kind of skidded and went underneath it.
Forbes at second. 2 balls and a strike on the Wichita State cleanup hitter. Outside corner.
He has thrown some quality pitches here. By that, I mean he's been able to throw the slider on the outside corner a couple of times, but he's just been inconsistent with it. The ones that are bouncing, he's holding on to them a little too long. His release point is too low.
2-2 with first base open against the Shockers hitter. Count goes full as Prather keeps that ball in front of him, and Forbes does not go to third.
There you could see he just held on to that slider a little too long. This is a slider that bounces about 5 feet in front of the plate, as you can see. And this one bounces correctly, and he's in front of it. The other one took an erratic hop and skidded under his glove.
Stayed up too high, and Wedge is the third Wichita State hitter walked this inning by Bryant, and that will bring up the first baseman, Bryant Winslow. Winslow playing with that stress fracture, and as soon as this World Series is over, they will put the leg in a cast, and he'll probably wear it for 5 or 6 weeks. Undoubtedly a high threshold of pain, difficult for him to start and stop in a straight line. He has run pretty well here in Omaha this week, taking that knee-high strike from Bryant.
One good thing about Bryant is that he is not easing up to throw strikes. He's still throwing the ball hard, and I think that's what you have to do. You start aiming the ball trying to throw strikes, and these hitters will tear into you, so he's turning the ball loose still.
Hit to left field, falls in for a base hit, and Wichita State will score the first run.
Winslow gets a high fastball here, and he lines it to left field. I thought Butcher got a slow break on the ball because it's hit pretty hard. He lines his fastball to left field. And see, he had a slow start, Butcher did. Now he slows up and takes it on the bounce. And there's no way he has a chance to throw the runner out to plate from that position. And Wichita State takes a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning.
And that's the first hit against Bryant in 5 innings. But walks got him in trouble. Walked 3, he'd be in even more trouble, but his catcher, Prather, threw out the leadoff hitter at second base. Mears, the shortstop, takes strike 1. Pat Mears was the third baseman for Coach Stevenson and moved to shortstop because of the injuries which struck down this Shocker team. They lost Lansing, the shortstop, and also their starting right fielder, Bonaquista. And it's amazing what they've accomplished here in Omaha, outside and low.
I think if Scott Bryant can struggle his way out of this first inning without too much damage, I think he may find his rhythm because he's still throwing hard.
Brian Dare continuing to warm up in the Texas bullpen. 1 ball and 1 strike here with 2 out. Bottom of the first inning, Wichita State leading Texas 1-0. Wedge away from second. Good stop by Prather again. And he indicates that he went around with his swing. Steiner making the call at first base.
It's another slider that's low and away. And Mears cannot hold his swing up there. You see he does commit on the ball. Nice play again by Prather to keep the ball in front of him.
1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 out. Tough spot for a volunteer pitcher. The national championship. Breaking ball outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Tough pitch to be a coach. And you have to make that decision to start this guy. Wichita State had their pitching rotation set up so that Brummett, their #1 pitcher, would be available for the championship game.
Count goes full. His brother, Phil Stevenson, a member of the Chicago Cubs, as Gustafson comes out of the Texas dugout with the count 3-2 and 2 out. Runners will be moving.
I think Gustafson has found out something from the bench that he wants to convey, because you normally will not come out on a 3-2 count. You at least let the guy go ahead and throw the 3-2 pitch and then decide what you want to do.
Mentioning Gene Stevenson, who's done such a superb job with this Wichita State team. Last year, he was the lowest of the low. Against Arizona State, he was 1 strike away from a championship meeting against Stanford 3 times, and he couldn't hold the lead. And the next morning, he was absolutely devastated. And that night, Arizona State beat Wichita State 19-1. So this is a remarkable story that they're back in. They lead it 1-0. Count is 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out. 13 strikes.
Well, as I mentioned in the beginning, he will not be able to go past the 4th inning anyway because he has not pitched much this season, and he will tire quickly. And throwing this many pitches this early, he will tire even quicker.
And right now, it's the 1st inning that Texas is concerned about. Bounce, ball 4, bases are loaded.
And this is a big decision here. I don't think they can go much longer with him because if they get too far behind here in the 1st inning, they're going to be out of the ball game.
Catcher Eric Wedge moving along to 3rd base. Winslow is at 2nd. Mears is at 1st. And Gustafson will go to the bullpen in the 1st inning.
And I believe this is a good move, Brent, because you just cannot afford to get too far behind in the championship game.
The left-handed pitcher, Brian Dare from Austin. The hometown relief pitcher out of Westlake High School, coming in a jam in the 1st inning. Wichita State up by 1 with the bases loaded, and we'll come right back in a moment. Clemens and Calvin Schiraldi. Schiraldi and Clemens on that 83 team which won the national championship. Todd Dreifert standing in, so he brings in the left-hander to face the left-handed hitting outfield for Wichita State, and the first pitch missing for a ball.
One thing that happens when you come in a situation with the bases loaded, you have to throw strikes right away because the plate starts to shrink on you if you do not, and it gives the hitter the edge because he can sit on the fastball and try to really drive it.
Wichita State up by a run here in the 1st inning and threatening. A ground ball to 2nd, and this should end the inning. Throw on to Lowry. And Texas is lucky to escape by giving up only 1 run in the bottom of the 1st inning. The Shockers taking the lead here in the championship game. 3 walks and 1 base hit. And we'll move along to the 2nd inning. The Longhorns due to send up Craig Newkirk, David Lowry, and Jeff Schultz when we come back. Leslie Visser for that story.
Brent, everyone knows about the pine tar incident from years gone by. Well, here in Omaha this week, we had the flat bat incident. Umpires threw out 3 bats from Wichita State on Wednesday night. It was the 2nd time during the tournament that they ruled the bats illegal. Now, there's nothing, I have one of the bats here, there's nothing defective inherently in the bat. It's just that they get worn down from too much use. I don't know if you can see it, but you can definitely feel it. One more note on these instruments of play. Scott Bryant left his favorite bat back at the hotel, and the team official had to go over there right before the game and pick it up for him. Back to you, Brent.
All right, Leslie. Joe, someone should look at Kevin Mitchell's bat and see if there's not a flat spot on it.
Right.
Kevin Mitchell hit another one last night. Is that 23
home runs for the season.
Rampaging San Francisco Giant left field. Here it's the college baseball championship we're deciding. Craig Newkirk, who has stroked 2 home runs in Omaha, takes ball 1 from Brummett. In case you just joined us, Texas threatened in the 1st inning. But Brummett knocked down the last 2 hitters, striking them out. The big play of that inning came when he picked off Tollison at 1st base with nobody out, and Texas runners on the corner.
You know, one thing you have to be aware of, that Brummett sit over there in the dugout for a long period of time, Brent. And sometimes you're a little slow starting off an inning when you've set that long.
2 balls and a strike. Adding to that bat controversy is the fact that the Longhorns had a couple of their aluminum weapons confiscated early today. Ball is hit in the air behind 2nd base. Coming in is Audley. Going out is Forbes, and Forbes, battling the sky, makes the play.
Well, actually, Forbes was going out. He thought either the center fielder was going to catch it Audley or the right fielder Dreifert. He was not planning on catching it. He turns around, and you see the ball was his all the way. Nice play by Forbes. We second basemen, when we go out, we hope the outfielders come in and make the play. It's a lot easier normally for them. That was his ball all the way.
First baseman David Lowry stepping in for the Longhorns, taking a strike. And now Brummett starting to find his rhythm and pitching with a great deal of confidence ever since that pickoff play.
Well, he's a very confident individual. He's a bulldog on the mound. I mean, he's a tough competitor, and he keeps the ball down. I don't think we've seen a ball above the waist so far in the ball game. He keeps the ball down very well, and as long as he does that, these college hitters are going to have trouble with him.
Stevenson felt during our conversations, Joe, that he had the right kind of pitching equipment to square off against Texas here today. 2 balls and 1 strike on Lowry.
Well, Texas had 10 or more hits in 6 consecutive ball games coming into this contest. But so far, they're not getting good swings at Brummett.
Hit on the ground, right back at Brummett.
And that was another good sinker away. And Lowry tried to pull it and hit it right back to Brummett.
So since Texas put its first 2 runners on, Greg Brummett of Wichita State knocked down 4 in a row. And here's the right fielder, Jeff Schultz, for his first at bat. And the lights have been on here at Rosenblatt ever since the start of this game. Catching the outside corner. The hitters could use wooden bats if they wanted. But here they've gone to aluminum or graphite throughout this World Series.
There's really no reason to use a wooden bat unless you have to. Because as we mentioned, the aluminum bat propels the ball a lot quicker through the infield and out of the ballpark.
A ball and a strike. Up high for 2 balls. What would happen if you gave Dave Winfield an aluminum bat in Yankee Stadium when he comes back?
I don't think you could get anyone to pitch because they know that that ball comes off the bat so sharply they would not be able to protect themselves. It's tough enough being a pitcher with these guys with a wooden bat.
On the ground to Forbes at second. 2 out. For 3. That knocks down the side in order. To correct that. 1, 2, 3 for Brummett. 5 Texas hitters in a row. Wichita State leading 1-0 and coming to bat in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And again, because of injuries, he was forced to move to third base, and he's done a fine job for the Shockers here in Omaha.
I think with all the defensive changes they've had to make during the season, they have a very fine defensive ball club.
Sharp drive, took a bad hop on the third baseman. Newkirk goes down the line. Jones makes the turn, and he'll pull up at second base.
One of the things you'll see with Darrell on the mound is that these right-handed hitters from Wichita will pull the ball a lot because he throws a lot of off-speed pitches. And there you see the ball is smashed, and Newkirk cannot get to it. He tries to block it, hits him on the wrist, and goes into foul territory.
Jones at second base, and here is Mike Wentworth.
Well, they're scoring that as an error, Brent. That's a very tough error.
I'd say took that quick hop and came up on the heel of the glove.
And he was playing in shallow, protecting against the bunt. Tough error.
Here is Wentworth, and he hits one over the third baseman shortstop's head into shallow left field, and the runner forced to hold up at third base. A bloop hit to left field by Wentworth. And last night, he was the man of the hour for the Shockers. Trailing Florida State 4-1, he smacked his 2nd home run of the postseason. And what a story that is. Against Fresno State in the regional when they were in trouble. On his mother's birthday, he hit his 1st home run of the postseason. Last night, it was his father's birthday.
Well, Father's Day is coming up.
Happy Father's Day. And we move to the top of the Wichita State batting order. Jim Audley, the center field, with his 2nd at-bat. That's Mark Smith, the right-hander, starting to warm up. Breaking ball strike.
I don't think they're going to take Dare out anytime soon. I think it'll have to be almost completely out of the ball game before he takes him out, because he does not have a lot of confidence in the other pitchers on the staff. That's why he brought Dare in so soon today.
Throw over to first. Audley coaxed a walk off Scott Bryant to open the bottom of the 1st, and then he was thrown out attempting to steal 2nd. Nobody out, runners at the corner.
again, you're going to get a lot of action on the left side of the infield with these right-handed hitters because he does throw a lot of off-speed pitches, and they will be able to pull the ball.
Newkirk, the third baseman, was attacked by that one drive. Steve Bethea is the shortstop, and Arthur Butcher, the left fielder.
Actually, Newkirk is giving them a lot of the line. They're giving him a little more than I think he should be.
Outside.
When you have a fastball pitcher like Scott Bryant on the mound, these right-handers will not be able to pull the ball. When you have an off-speed left-hander throwing, the right-handers will be able to get out in front a little bit more. And I think you have to guard the left side a lot more.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Hit foul out of play.
They've got Newkirk playing in on the grass still with 2 strikes, which says that they're going to come to the plate if they have to instead of going around the horn to get a double play. Newkirk will take a couple of steps in with the pitch. He's playing even with the bag. Normally you play back and try to get a double play to get out of the inning, keep them from scoring a lot of runs.
Hit on the ground to Newkirk, and he's got his man hung up between third and home. And the ball is dropped. Now the pitcher who had come to protect the plate does not make the tag in time.
This is not the right play to make anyway. It's a ground ball. It should be a double play. You go around the horn and get out of trouble. He starts to go to second. Then he realizes that he has Jones hung up. Now they get him in a rundown, and he should have run him all the way back to the bag. But there you can see Newkirk took his eyes off the ball. And a very close play at the plate, but he's safe.
Great slide by Jones in scoring the Shockers' second run. They have taken a 2-0 lead and still threatening with Wentworth leading off from second base and being bluffed back. Oddly at first base.
Excuse me, Brent. I think Green Stevenson will go for the big inning here. I think he will try to bunt the runners in the scoring position.
Forbes was shortening up that time as he takes a strike. Two errors have put the Longhorns in a jam here in the second inning.
Expect to pick the guy off when you try that pickoff play there. All you want to do is keep him close to the bag so you'll have a shot at a force out at third base in case there's not a good bunt put down by Forbes.
Lowry coming way in at first base. Ball bounces and blocked by Prather.
Prather's had a tough job behind the plate here in just 1.5 innings. Actually, 1 complete inning.
He is also a very remarkable story. Texas fans are well aware that this young man has battled cancer the last year. Underwent radiation treatments as recently as last fall. Swung on and missed. And it has to be great inspiration to folks who are suffering cancer to see someone like Prather who is able to come back and play college baseball. Lifts the spirits of everybody.
The fact that he let Forbes swing away there surprises me because normally Gene Stevenson tries to move runners along in this situation.
And he struck out. The first out of the inning.
Forbes had swung through a fastball on the previous pitch, and this is a changeup. See it go down. Nice palm ball from there. You see he's way out in front of the pitch.
Left fielder Mike McDonald lined out to the center fielder in the first inning. 1 out. Teammates on at first and second base. Left-hander Brian Dare. Hit foul.
If Greg Newkirk would have gone around the horn and turned the double play, Wichita would have 1 run in and the inning would be over now. Instead, they've got 1 run in and they still have runners at first and second. That's why you take the double play instead of keeping the runner from scoring. You just try to keep the other team from having a big inning.
back to Dare. He'll try for the double play. The throw on to first is in the dirt and not in time. And dashing home with the third run. Here's the Shockers' designated hitter, Wentworth.
This should be a double play. The ball is grounded back to the pitcher, Dare, and he turns around and gives a good throw to Bethea. That should be a double play right there. Just a bad throw. And it gets away. We see the throw getting away here. A good throw would have had him. But it's got to be an error on the shortstop.
The third error of the inning by the normally reliable Texas defense. That has been a staple of Gustafson's teams through the years. Great pitching and good defense.
And I can't stress enough the fact that I think they went the wrong way, because you give a team the other opportunities. You give them the extra outs with men on base, and they normally will take advantage of it.
Wedge's second at bat. Hits one high in the air. The shortstop and going into shallow left field. Bethea making the final out of the inning, but the Shockers scored 2 more. Set up by 3 Longhorn errors. And we'll move now to the top of the third inning. Bethea, Prather, and Jones due up for the Longhorns. Has been a field of dreams for so many great college baseball players who've come through here. Mookie Wilson out of South Carolina in the 1977 College World Series, and then the great Barry Larkin, enjoying such a tremendous season with the Cincinnati Reds. Greg Swindell of the Cleveland Indians, formerly of Texas, now with the Indians. And how about Will Clark? A few hitters better than Will. Rafael Palmeiro, now with the Texas Rangers. Played here at the College World Series, and so did Roger Clemens. What's your feeling, Joe, about great young baseball players, the opportunity to go to the minors or go to college for a while?
Well, I think the way the situation is now, the way college baseball has become a big sport in college, I like to see them go to college, because you get to play around 70 ball games and you get an education to go with it. So I really like college baseball the way it is now.
Here's Steve Bethea taking strike 2 at the knees. His father, Bill Bethea, coaches first base for the Longhorns. Strikes.
Brent, what we see here with Greg Brummett is he stands on the far corner of the rubber, the third base side. The reason he does that, it gives him a little better angle for the crossfire on the right-handers to get the ball to the outside corner.
Another comebacker. Now John Prather. You know, another thing that's remarkable about his battle against cancer is the fact that he was able to stay in school, complete his work, and he praises several teachers down there in Austin who were very understanding during his battle. Pitches down low for a ball. Testicular cancer, and then they had to check all his lymph nodes a little bit later.
You see he's on the right side of the rubber, and he gets a good crossfire to those right-handers, and they can only go the other way with it when he gets the ball on the outside like that.
Forbes has been busy at second base. Well, again, we can't overstate the importance of that pickoff play. Texas put its first 2 hitters on base in the first inning against Brummett. And since then, he has retired 7 in a row after picking Tollison off at first. Looking in at Tollison and missing with the first pitch for a ball. Gustafson and the Horns trailing by 3 in the top of the third. Bounded foul down the first baseline. If nothing else, Texas has been a come-from-behind team all season long. The Longhorns have rallied 21 times this year to pull games out.
But to emphasize how well Drummond is throwing, Brent, only one ball has been hit to the outfield. That was the base hit. All the others have been ground balls to the infield and one pop up to second base.
This is inside. Texas baseball tradition is longer than Wichita State, but the Shockers have been a power this decade. Joe Carter, great hitter with the Indians, came out of Stevenson's program. All outside for a ball. And it's 3 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs, top of the third inning.
And when you think of runs scored, you think of NCAA championships, you think of Southern California, of course, and Texas. But Gene Stevenson's team, they hold the record for runs scored in a season and wins in a season.
Ground ball again to Forrest. On to first, and the Longhorns go in order for the 2nd consecutive inning. No runs and no hits, so they are still trailing Wichita State 3-0. And the Shockers will send up Winslow, Mears, and Dreifert. Again, the site for the NCAA College Baseball World Series, and perhaps, Joe, the Longhorn fans can hold that graphic on the far right there.
They better hold it a little longer, right?
Their normally reliable defense betraying them in the previous inning. Texas had made 2 errors here in Omaha coming into the game, and they made 3 in 1 inning, and as a result, Brian Dare and the Horns are down 3-0, with Wichita State sending Winslow, Mears, and Dreifert to the plate here in the bottom of the third. Up high, and it's 2 balls and no strikes.
What Dare has to do is be able to keep the ball down on these right-handers, or he's going to get in trouble as well. And he doesn't seem to have his good control so far in the ball game either.
Had not given up a run in previous postseason NCAA competition until the previous inning. 2 balls and a strike on Winslow. Winslow 1 for 1. He singled in the first inning.
But unlike Scott Bryant, you can't sit on a pitch with this guy because he will throw some change-up, and you can't just sit there and look for the fastball when he gets behind in the count. He will throw all-speed pitches, which helps keep the right-handed hitters off balance.
On the outside corner.
He threw about 3 change-ups in a row, and then he came back with the good fastball, and he surprised Winslow.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Swung on and missed.
There you see chases the slider in the dirt. This is what Dare does so well. When he gets 2 strikes on you, he gets you to chase a pitch. See, this starts in the strike zone, but there you see the bottom falls out of it, and there's no way Winslow could hold up on it. Good pitch.
Shortstop Pat Mears. He walked back in the first inning. Bluffs the bunt and takes a strike on that outside corner.
I don't think you'll see him throw the fastball inside. As you can see, he's keeping every fastball away from these right-handed hitters, and I think that's the way to pitch. You can come inside bad for a ball, but you have to stay out there in order to keep them off balance. He doesn't throw quite hard enough to be able to establish the fastball on the inside part of the plate. It's a Longhorn fan, not a 10-gallon hat.
I wonder what kind of a battle that snake put up. Swung on and missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes. key plays in this game. Runners on at first and third came when they hung the Wichita State runner-up between third and home and then couldn't get the put out. Foul tip held on to by Prather. 2 strikeouts in a row and 3 since he relieved Bryant.
It's another good 2-strike pitch from Dare. He throws it off the plate outside, and you can see Mears reaching for it, and he can't get to it. See, the ball's away from him. It's probably a ball because it's off the plate, but they can't lay off when they have 2 strikes.
And here's Todd Dreifert. 2 out, nobody on in the third. Wichita State up by 3 runs, 3-0. Missing for a ball. Sometimes defense is underappreciated in baseball. Wichita State making the play in the first inning, and Texas failing in the second, and that's really been the difference in the game so far.
I think a baseball game in the 7th game or a championship game is like the 7th game of an NBA game, whereas your guards are usually the ones that control the game. Your infielders have to play well in order for you to be a good team.
Get foul out of play.
And so far today, the Texas infield has not played well. They have not performed under the pressure that they needed to. They should have made a couple of double plays, which they missed, and in both cases, it cost them runs.
Speaking of guards, the Lakers are certainly hoping that they have some healthy ones tomorrow in a critical Game 3 against Detroit. Magic Johnson, who likes to play some softball back home in East Lansing. Of course, he was a great basketball player at Michigan State before joining the Lakers. Taking a strike at the knees. He sometimes goes on out to Dodger Stadium and takes a little hitting practice. And if he's watching this afternoon, I think all of us pass along nothing but our best. Even the Pistons would like to beat the Lakers at their strength if they're going to do it. 2-2 and 2 out. Down low, and the count goes full.
One of the things I'm noticing, though, if I'm a Wichita State hitter, is I eliminate the curveball from Brian Dare's repertoire because he has not been able to get it over the plate. He's basically going with the fastball and the change. Those are the pitches that he's able to throw for strikes.
Hit hard, but right at Lowry. A 1-2-3 inning for Dare. And so for the first time, Wichita State is unable to score. They lead Texas 3-0. We have completed 3 innings of this national championship game, and it'll be the heart of that to be out of this city is Ben McDonald. 0-4, the first draft choice by the Baltimore Orioles. He had to run for an airplane.
Well, and I think it was unfortunate because they did not see the best of Ben McDonald. He had some blisters on his finger.
Collison missing out a bunt attempt for strike 1.
And he actually should get a pat on the back for trying to pitch under those circumstances because he was definitely injured.
Eight hitters in a row retired by senior right-hander Greg Brummett, trying to win Wichita State its first ever national championship in any NCAA sport. They had a chance for a title earlier this decade in Miami, but they would have had to beat the Hurricanes twice in a row, and they lost the first game. Brummett missing outside and low. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
I think all the initial adrenaline or the relaxation of Texas is worn off now. I think in the next 2 or 3 innings, we'll see some good baseball. The guys will probably settle down now, and they'll play better.
There is Forbes, who now 5 of the last 7 hitters have hit the ball his way. 4 ground balls and 1 pop-up.
And basically what that says is that Brummett is doing a good job of keeping the ball down and away from these right-handed hitters.
Here's Bryant, who left the game as a pitcher, but who stays in the game as the designated hitter. In the college game, you should look at those 2 spots as 2 different people. In fact, if you're pitching, you can be inserted as a pinch hitter, as a designated hitter while you're still out there, then taken out of the game as a pitcher, but you stay right in the lineup. Bryant, the long ball threat for the Longhorns. Taking one knee high.
Sorry, Ray. As I mentioned before, he prefers to hit, but I think all pitchers prefer to hit if you ask them.
When you think of Texas baseball, you think of somebody like Bryant, power, Roger Clemens, Calvin Schiraldi, big, tough-looking Texan. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hit foul down the right field line, and coming over to make a nice catch is Jeff Schultz, but he did not hold on to it.
It's a fly ball down the right field line. You'll see Schultz get to the ball, but he just cannot come up with it. Actually, that's Dryford's coming up, and he just hits him in the heel of the glove and drops down. I think he was worried about coming into the pitching area there. They have the pitcher's mounds down there, and I think he was looking up at that and took his eye off the ball.
So a second life for Bryant. He makes the most of it by singling to right field.
And that was scored as an error on Dryford.
I think I misled you on that.
Yeah, you did.
So I had the wrong.
Listening to you.
Yeah.
This is a fastball away, and he goes the other way with it. That's a good piece of hitting right there. You could see his body position was better than the other guys who have swung at the pitches away.
Swung on a miss by Butcher, who was 0 for 1. He struck out in the first inning. So Bryant becomes the first Texas base runner since that first inning.
One of the things you can notice about college hitters is their balance at the plate when they start after the pitch. The real good hitters keep their balance well. The other guys are leaning on the front foot, leaning on the back foot. They don't have good balance throughout their swing, but the real good hitters in college baseball all have good balance, and in Major League Baseball for that matter.
Butcher in a hole now. No balls and 2 strikes. Throw open, and Bryant easily back in. Wedge had set up his target. Wedge calls the pitches for Wichita State. Most of the teams here in Omaha had the coaches calling the pitches from the dugout. Line drive to center field, falls in for a base hit. Bryant holding up at second base. The ball momentarily gets away from the center fielder, Jim Odley. But Bryant not going anywhere.
That's not good base running there by Bryant. He had slowed up before he gets to the bag, and therefore he's not able to take advantage of the ball getting away. That's a pretty good swing there. As you can see, Butcher went out away from him and got the ball and hit it in the left center field.
And that will bring up the Texas third baseman, Craig Newkirk. 1 out and 2 on, and the Horns down by 3. A chance here to get back into this championship game. Just missing.
A guy like Brummett is never really in serious trouble because he can keep the ball down. He can get the ground ball, which can set up the double play here. I think he will keep the ball on the ground, and if he gets it hit at someone, they can turn the double play.
Newkirk came into this game batting .539 here at Omaha. And there are the leading hitters, and you can see that the Longhorns in particular have hit extremely well during this World Series. Now a moment for the third baseman. 2 balls, no strikes. 2 teammates aboard. Hit chopper toward third. Field it. The third baseman hesitates and can't get anybody. Mike Jones throws on the play. hesitating as to whether to go after Bryant, who was running down the line, or throw the ball to the second baseman.
Well, it's a chopper, and Jones charges the ball. You have to go to first base anytime you get on the infield grass like that. There's no other play. He should have just charged the ball, taken the out at first base. There you see he runs, turns around, looks all around, and by the time he comes back, Newkirk is well across the bag at first base. And that's the first mistake actually made by the infield of the Wichita State Shockers.
Leaving the bases loaded with the first baseman, David Lowry. Now at bat for the Longhorns. And the pitching coach now to talk to Brummett. Here we can take a review of what happened as the Shockers jumped out to that 1-0 lead on Winslow's RBI single. Then in the second inning, Texas committing 3 errors, and they lead at 3-0. You know what's interesting about scoring is in the 3 errors we had that hard smash that could have been ruled a hit, and this inning to get an infield single on a ball where there is an actual mental error made by an infielder.
That's why I think they should have a team error.
You know, the late Dick Young, sports writer in New York, always pushed for the team error. Line drive toward left field. Ball will be caught by McDonald, but the Longhorns will score as Bryant comes in with the Horns' first run. Sacrifice fly by Lowry makes the score 3-1.
It's a fastball away, and Lowry goes the other way with it. You can see the ball's on the outside corner. And you see the catch being made out there by McDonald, but he really doesn't have a chance to throw Bryant out as he comes across the plate with Texas' first run of the 7th game, or the championship game, I should say.
Butcher held at second base on that fly out, and now it is Schultz making the strike on that inside corner. Jeff Schultz, the right fielder, grounded out in his only at bat. Two out. Texas runners on at first and second. Shortening up as if to bunt for the base hit. A surprise tactic here.
I think that's one of the things about college baseball that makes it so great. It's always unpredictable. Normally you will not bunt in this situation because you're down by 2 runs, you have a runner in scoring position, you try to drive one of the guys in. But in college baseball, guys try to get on base any way they can.
Getting away from Wedge and going to the backstop, and now the Longhorns will have the tying run at second base as the runners move up.
The slider that gets away from Wedge. He's trying to come inside with the slider. You'll see here, breaking down and in. Actually, it just should be a pass ball because Wedge just let the ball get away from him, and it is a pass ball. And the runners move up.
2 balls and 1 strike. The count on Schultz. Bases are loaded.
That's the second base on balls issued by Brummett. He walked the leadoff hitter in the first inning, and he's had good control up until this point.
Nobody warming up for Stevenson.
Nobody hurt now. Force anywhere. Force anywhere. 2 down. Let's go.
I think Stevenson realizes that Brummett is his best pitcher. So he says, I'm going to go with him as long as I possibly can. He also realizes Brummett is a bulldog. He's a fighter. He's a real good competitor. And that's what you want on the mound in the championship game. You do not want to risk going too deep into your bullpen. Of course, he's trying to get to his stopper, Newland. If they can get to around the 6th or 7th inning, of course, then he's in good shape. But until that time, I think he wants to go as long as he possibly can with Brummett.
Steve Buffet with the bases loaded, and Texas trailing Wichita State 3-1 in the 4th inning. Takes a strike.
When you watch Brummett, you see a real good craftsman at work because he does not throw many balls into the middle of the plate. Everything's on the inside corner or the outside corner. That was a good fastball on the inside corner.
It's foul.
Another good pitch right on the inside corner, and he actually is timed to fay up. He has no way to get his bat to that ball. You have to be able to get the head of the bat out on the fastball inside, and he's not able to do that. Now he's got him set up. He can throw a sinker away, or he can come in even more off the plate and possibly get him to chase a pitch.
No balls and 2 strikes.
And there he tries to come further inside, but the fade was not biting.
And now 2-2.
Well, he tried to throw the slider on the outside corner, and he thought he did, but Dale Williams says it's outside. He set him up perfectly for that pitch by throwing 3 pitches inside, and then he tried to throw what they call the backdoor slider by starting it off the plate and letting it break on the outside corner.
Texas 1 run on 4 hits, and Wichita State 3 runs on only 2 hits. Another hit by the Horns here would tie this game. Hit toward first and second, and in no man's land, and Bethea beats it out. Winslow, who normally gives that ball to Forbes because of the stress fracture, went after it and couldn't make the play.
In this situation, Brent, it's the second baseman's ball all the way. You can see the ball's not hit very hard, and it's way over to the second baseman's position. And he should not have even gone that far. But here again, the second baseman should have been calling him off. Even though he broke that far, he should have said, "I've got it," and he could have made the play to the pitcher.
Now the catcher, Prather, steps in with the tying run for Texas, only 90 feet away.
Scored as an error on the first baseman.
At the knees for a strike. Brummett's speed on that Jugs gun, that gives you an idea of what he's done here today, but it's been the placement of his pitches that has been critical.
You see the competitor in Brummett coming out right here. He made a couple of mistakes behind him. I think he's gotten a little angry, and he's just turned the fastball loose the last 2 pitches.
It was no balls and 2 strikes on Bethea. Also foul away. Down in the bullpen for Wichita State, Jeff Bluma is up.
But I still think he's going to go with Brummett a long way before he makes that decision to bring Bluma in. I think he will have to be trailing in the ball game by more than 1 or 2 runs before he would take Brummett out.
Justice is down for a few words with the schedule. Out of the jam, but not before he gives up a pair of runs. And the Longhorns have climbed right back into this championship match. Wichita State leading 3-2. We'll move to the bottom of the 4th, and it'll be Jones, Wentworth, and Audley for the shot.
Rosenblatt. Johnny Rosenblatt was a former player in the old Western League and the mayor of Omaha, who was instrumental in bringing the tournament here. I'm here now with Gene McCarter of the University of Missouri and the NCAA Baseball Committee. Gene, there's been a lot of talk, speculation maybe that although the relationship with Omaha and the College World Series has been terrific, that you might move maybe to a city with a dome stadium.
Well, I think there will continue to be speculation, but we're very happy with the situation in Omaha. The crowds, the event that it's become, we're quite satisfied now.
Well, that's terrific, but I don't think a dome would be appropriate here. Back to you, Brent.
All right, Leslie, and Joe, let you and I add some words of praise for the great job this community does. I think this series really has become part of Omaha, and they've done such a sensational job. I would think that everyone would hesitate before they even considered.
Well, there's been a lot of speculation the last 3 or 4 years, Brent, and it's still here, so I'm not sure that they're ever going to move from here.
Line drive, base hit by the leadoff hitter Jones for Wichita State in the 4th inning.
Brent, as we're in the 4th inning now, we're going to have to see how long Derek can go. We'll get a look at this pitcher. As I said before, he was able to throw a lot of fastballs before. Now that's a slider that hangs in the middle of the plate, and it's lined back up the middle by Jones. Look at the balance that Jones has right there.
Looking at what Dare did for Gustafson during the season, Joe, against Texas A&M, he went for 6 2/3 innings. Against Arkansas, 5 2/3 innings. He entered this game with 2 out in the 1st inning, and now here he is in the 4th. Obviously, he doesn't figure to finish the game. However, you never can tell. Now, Kirk Dresendorfer is the star of this Texas team. He pitched them into this championship game the other night, and that was such a courageous performance. He had a back problem, and he just kept hanging in there like a bulldog to get the job done. And Dare has been their 2nd most consistent pitcher all season long. He came on in the Oklahoma State game in the Midwest Regional last week with runners at 1st and 3rd and 1 out. Texas was down by 2, got a sacrifice fly, and then 2 strikeouts. And the Horns came on to win that one, forced to duck back out of the way, and in self-defense, bunts it foul and out of play.
Well, here we see again, Gene Stevenson likes to bunt runners over, and especially with a left-handed hitter against a left-handed pitcher. But this fastball is way up and in, and he tries to get out of the way, but Wentworth keeps his bat there, and he fouls it out of play. But Gene Stevenson likes to use the bunt. He tries to force the issue with the other team. He doesn't wait for a lot of things to happen.
Mike Wentworth, the 5th-year senior. Throw on along to first base. He's a young man at the plate for Wichita State. A walk-on player, doesn't receive any scholarship money. He has meant so much for what the Shockers have accomplished here in the postseason.
People may ask, why is he throwing the first base so much? Because they're bunting. Well, he's trying to keep them from changing to a hit and run. And he's also trying to keep the runner close enough so they'll have a shot at him at second base if the bunt is not a perfect.
Into the air over the shortstop's head. Center fielder can't come in, and it's a base hit for Wentworth, his 2nd. The 8 and 9 hitters reach base for Wichita State. Oddly, the leadoff hitter has activity again in the Texas bullpen. And Smith up for the 2nd time this afternoon.
I think Gustafson is starting to get really worried because he does not want to take Dare out this early in the ball game, but he cannot afford to stay with him too much longer. Oddly took a long look down at Stevenson at third base. I think he's going to be bunting, as Stevenson's already given him the sign.
Gets it down, and it's beautiful. Crazel makes the play, retires Oddly, who has sacrificed the runners along to 2nd and 3rd.
This is an excellent bunt by Oddly. In fact, he deadened the ball perfectly down the third baseline. As you could see, all the Texas infielders were converging on it, but it was a very nice bunt. Normally, you try to make the third baseman feel the ball, but if you can deaden it down the third base line, that's just as good.
DJ Forbes from Pittsburgh, Kansas, with an opportunity here against Dare. The Shockers leading the Longhorns 3-2, bottom of the 4th inning.
Texas has an unusual inner defense here. They've got the infield in on the right side, and the shortstop is playing back. Bethea is still at his normal shortstop position.
Outside corner, knee-high strike.
I don't understand that, because if you're going to play the infield in, I think you have to play everyone in. Or if you're going to play back, you play everyone back. If there's a ground ball to shortstop, he has no chance of throwing Mike Jones out at the plate.
Great pitch out. Thinking that perhaps the squeeze is on. Stevenson again running through the signs before, who steps back in against Dare, with Gustafson watching from the first base dugout. High, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. 1 out. Wichita State runners on at second and third. McDonald and Wedge would be next here in the 4th inning. Gustafson perhaps thinking ahead to Wedge with the right-hander loosening up in the bullpen. On the ground to Bethea at short. Runners hold, and he knocks him down at first base for the 2nd out of the inning.
That's kind of bad base running there, because he could have scored on the ground ball if he would have gone on the pitch. You see, he's playing his regular position. So Bethea backhands the ball. Now he holds the runner at third and throws to first base. But if Mike Jones would have gone on contact, no chance to throw him out at the plate when you're that deep.
Stevenson just made a couple of steps over and had a conversation with him.
I'm sure he was supposed to go.
Now it's McDonald. 2 out. And the infield obviously can move back. Third base, Jones, and at second, Wentworth. McDonald the hitter. 0 for 2, reached on an error. Hits a shot and fielded by Newkirk, and the Longhorns are out of the jam. After the first 2 hitters reach base for Wichita State, then Dare knocks down the next 3. So we'll move along to the 5th inning with Wichita State leading Texas 3-2 in the battle for a national championship. Due up for the Horns, Jones, Tollison, and Bryant, the top of the Texas. From the top of the Longhorn batting order, center fielder Jones stepping in, 0 for 1. He also walked in the first inning.
Now that the Texas hitters have had a chance to see Brummett a couple of times, I think they should have a little better rhythm and start swinging the bats a little better. I don't think they've really attacked the ball very well off of Brummett. He's made some good pitches by keeping the ball away from them and keeping it down, but I think after you've seen him a couple of times, you should be able to get a little better swings in.
You know, Gustafson has accomplished so much at Texas, but the man who started the great baseball tradition was Bibb Falk. And Bibb, at the age of 90, passed away the other night, and I'm sure that Texas fans remember all that he accomplished down there. Back in 1920, he was the outfielder who replaced the legendary Shoeless Joe Jackson with the Chicago White Sox. Strike on the outside corner. 2 balls and 1 strike. I think there's a lot of folks who think that Gustafson invented baseball at Austin, but it's not true. It was Bibb Falk. 2 balls and a strike. The count on Jones. He bunts, and a beautiful one. The throw, not in time as the first baseman and the runner collide. And remember, the first baseman already playing with a stress fracture, and he is down in a heap. And Jones is not getting up too quickly either.
It's almost a head-on collision there they had at first base, Brent. Jones' throw was on the inside part of the bag, and it pulled Winslow to that side, and they almost hit face on.
And they are handling that injured leg, the right leg, gingerly down there at first base. Bryant Winslow in obvious pain. Here's a replay of it, Joe.
That's a perfect bunt down the third baseline. Jones charges, bare-hands it, but his throw is to the inside part of the bag right there. And you could see that Winslow was trying to catch the ball. He was going for the ball. And, of course, Jones is going to first base, and they collide right there, almost head-on. And you can see his right knee right there. It's a stretched. as Jones runs into it. See, his right knee is kind of pulled behind him there.
In a great deal of pain.
Well, Jones is up. Lance Jones is up at first base. There you see Winslow. He's still down. They're working on his right knee.
Well, they're tending to Winslow there at first base. We can remind everybody that following this championship game, we'll be going for the third round of the Westchester Classic. And that tournament has been battling rain problems too, but we understand that they are playing now in the third round.
I hear you're a pretty good golfer, Brett.
I can lose. More pinnacles. I want some of your buddies like Willie McCovey to play with me.
The reason that Winslow is down is because he was hit head on by Lance Jones. As we get another look at it, you can see the throw was on the inside of the bag, and he was trying to make the play. And I think that's the toughest play for a first baseman, and you hear a lot of guys getting injured that way. Usually they get their elbows stretched by catching the ball on the inside and the runner hitting them. But now at least he's up, so he's feeling a little better, but I think he's going to have to leave the ball game because it's also the right leg that's already injured.
Playing with a stress fracture all tournament long, so you talk about the courageous performer of this championship. It has been first baseman Bryant Winslow.
Maybe he's not going to leave the game, Brett.
Limping around on the injured leg. To play. Stevenson is short-handed, but I'm not sure that he's going to be able to. And in front of the Shockers dugout, a couple of players beginning to loosen up.
No, I don't think he's going to be able to play. He cannot put much weight on his right leg at all, Brent. You're not going to be able to play baseball that way.
Starting to loosen up. Playing catch with the designated hitter, Wentworth. He's some bulldog.
Yeah, but it's even tough for a bulldog to run with 3 legs. I think he's going to have to come out of there.
You can see the pain there in his face. No one is exactly sure how he suffered the stress fracture to begin with. Did take a ball off the shin. And then he went for an x-ray, and that's how it was discovered. But Coach Stevenson feels that it might have been injured before that. So while he's being tended to, and we've got an opportunity to break away, we'll do just that. And we'll come back to Omaha in a moment. Tollison at bat for the Longhorns, who trail Wichita State by a run, taking the knee-high strike. Jones, the leadoff hitter, beating out the bunt single, and now he's going to leave.
Well, I didn't see any way he could stay in the ball game when you can't put any weight on your right leg, and I think the Texas Longhorns were probably going to start bunting on him. He gets a great hand from the fans here, and Omaha, and it was a courageous effort to try to stay in the ball game, but I think he's doing what's best for his ball club as well. Here you see he's holding the runner on, and he tries to move off the bag, and he can't even move to his right. And there you see him calling timeout, and he says, I have to come out. I mean, he could really hurt the team by staying in the ball game and hurt himself even more, so I thought it was best that he come out as well.
They will move left fielder Mike McDonald to first base, and they will send Joey Wilson out to left field. Mike McDonald loosening up at first base. This Wichita State team already shorthanded coming into this World Series. They had lost their regular shortstop and their starting right fielder. Mike Lansing, the shortstop, out, and Jeff Bonaquista also unable to play. So Stevenson feeling that he was down to 11 able-bodied position players as Brummett throws over to first base and Jones dives on in. The count is no balls and 1 strike on Tollison. Longhorns with their leadoff hitter on base. We're in the 5th inning. The Horns are down by a run. Ground ball to McDonald, who's tested right away and makes a nice stop and a put out on Tollison as Jones reaches second.
It's a very nice play by McDonald, especially when you just move over to that position. But watch how he gets down in front of the ball. He's going to block it with his body, but actually makes a good catch of it with his glove. But he was in front of it. The ball wasn't going to be able to get by him. Nice play. But the runner goes down to second base, and he's the tying run.
Bringing up the number 3 hitter and the leading hitter for the Longhorns all season long, Scott Bryant. He started the game as a pitcher and had to be relieved early on as he fouls one away. He's 1 for 2. He struck out in the first inning, singled to right, and scored the Longhorns' first run in the 4th inning. Now in a position to tie the game. Foul. Dictating to the number 3 hitter for the Longhorns. Wedge sets up outside. Only a junior, Bryant could come back, but at Texas, as is the case with most schools, when you have major league potential, you are urged to go ahead and sign that contract, as Bryant will with the Cincinnati Reds following this World Series. Then the club will be able to make contact with him and talk to the young man about a contract. Check swing tip and held on to by Wedge.
After he threw him a couple of sliders away, he's coming inside off the plate, and we'll get a look at it as Bryant tries to check his swing, which he does, but the umpire said it was a foul tip. And so he's out. We'll get another look at it here. It's a fastball running inside, and there you can see he checks his swing, but foul ball, but Bryant doesn't think so.
That's 4 strikeouts for Brummett in this game, as Butcher, the cleanup hitter, takes ball 1. So after retiring 9 hitters in a row, 6 of the last 11 Texas hitters have reached base, but that was a big out, perhaps the biggest out of the game. And now it's Brummett against Butcher. Hit on the ground to McDonald, who makes it 2 for 2 after coming on to play first base. The Horns threaten, but they can't score, and they still trail it by a run, 3-2. And CBS Sports coverage of the 1989 Omaha, and Joe is joined by his good friend, the Maniac from Miami. Nice to see you, Maniac.
He doesn't talk, Brent.
You know, as a Miami fan, I'm surprised he didn't try to choke me.
What is that you have in your left hand?
Holy Wow, what was that? All right, back on the field. Wichita State will send up their cleanup hitter, Eric Wedge, then Joey Wilson, and shortstop Pat Mears after that. First pitch is strike to Wedge. Wedge, the cleanup hitter, 0 for 1, and he has walked. You can see the line score. 5 errors in this championship game. Both sides a little jittery.
And I think a couple of mental errors as well, Brent.
Ground ball to short, and Bethea up with it. Throw across. Gets Wedge.
That's a fine play by Bethea because the ball came up on him just when it got to him. He was able to control it, make a good throw. Wedge is a good hitter. You can see that he goes out and attacks the ball. Now watch this hop right there. But he controls it with the glove, takes the bare hand throw, and then has a good enough arm that he can throw Wedge out from deep in the hole.
Now, Joe, here's Troy Wilson, who came on to play left field after Winslow had to leave with that injury. So this is his first at bat. Wichita State led it 3-0. Texas rallying in the 4th. Down 3-2 as Wilson takes a strike on the outside part of the plate. Dare came on with 2 out in the first inning. The bases loaded. He retired Dryford on a ground ball, and he's been in ever since as Wilson swings through the pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's a good curveball from Dare. There's the maniac. He took it off of your shoulder. Now he's dropping it down in the fence.
2 balls and 2 strikes. He is some character. Foul away again. Even with the Miami Hurricane team, which of course, like Texas, one of the great baseball powers almost annually in college baseball. Even when they're eliminated, the mascot stays on here to entertain the good folks in Omaha. That's how popular he is, especially with the youngsters who come to the game. Foul again. They've had great crowds here at Omaha, and even with the game sold out, the blackout lifted in that morning rain, a lot of the folks have come on here to Rosenblatt Stadium to watch in person as Wichita State and Texas are playing for a championship. And the count is 3 balls and 2 strikes on Wilson.
I think Dare obviously has done a good job. He's been able to keep Wichita State under control while Texas has been able to come back and put 2 runs on the board and make this a very fine ball game.
Popped into shallow center field. Base hit.
Reaches out on this fastball. It's up is the reason he's able to get a piece of it and get it in the air. If that ball would have been down, he would have hit a weak ground ball someplace, but it's up, and he bloops it in between the shortstop and the center fielder, not able to get there in time.
Prather goes out for a couple of words with his pitcher as Stevenson huddles with Mears.
I think what Stevenson is doing here is he's trying to let Mears know that he may want to run Wilson. And if he gets a good enough pitch, go ahead and try to hit it, maybe on a hit-and-run situation. But if it's not a good pitch, go ahead and take it and see if Wilson can steal the base.
Close championship games have been the order of the year for the NCAA. Michigan and Seton Hall in that great overtime game for the basketball championship. Harvard winning the hockey title, thrown over to first base.
Dare has a average move. It's not really that good, and it's not poor. It's just kind of an average move. But being left-handed, that bothers a lot of base runners.
Down low, and the count is 1 ball. looked like Gustafson was hiding as he was calling signals down there in the Texas dugout. Wilson away. Foul back out of play.
So far, he has not fooled Wilson at first base because he's been able to read his move every time he's come to first base. He's been able to get back, and he wasn't breaking back when he delivered to the plate. You see that a lot of times with base runners. They throw to first base, they get back, but then they throw it home, and they're still going back. He seems to be able to read there pretty well. There's a good view of his lead. That's a pretty big lead at first base. And you see he gets back pretty easily. So he's reading him pretty well. A lot of times you see a base runner, he'll get a one-way lead. He'll get a big lead, but he's always going back to the bag. That's not the case with Wilson.
Foul away. One ball and 2 strikes with 1 out. Bottom of the 5th inning.
We talked about the wind blowing out the left field being a factor, but it has not so far in the ball game.
Pitch out. Wilson not going.
This is a perfect time for a hit and run if you're Gene Stevenson, the manager. 2-2 count. There is going to be someplace around the plate because he doesn't want the count to go to 3-2. And if you want to put Wilson in motion, this would be a perfect time to do it.
Which he does. Hit into left center field and deep. Way back. It's out of here for a home run for shortstop Pat Mears. Some breathing room for the Shockers.
And maybe that was a kiss of death for Texas, mentioning that the wind had not been a factor before. And sure enough, he hits this ball over the left center field wall. Joey Wilson is running on the pitch, and it's a high fastball, and Mears gets most of it and pulls it into left center field, and I think the wind helps it a little bit. But he got a lot of wood on the ball, or I should say a lot of aluminum. We'll get a look at it. Look at the balance, his head. If you draw a line straight from his head down through the rest of his body, it was almost perfect balance there. And that's why he was able to hit the ball so hard.
And the sophomore from Salina, Kansas, makes it a 5-2 Wichita State lead. As right fielder Todd Dreifert steps in and takes ball 1 with Mark Smith up in the Texas bullpen for the 3rd time this afternoon. Fouled away. That home run by Mears, the first extra base hit in this game so far. It had been errors figuring in most of the runs. As Smith continues to loosen up. This inning, a single by Wilson and the home run by Mears. And there's another base hit. Let's check on Winslow's injury, and here's Leslie Visser again. Leslie?
Brent, I was just down in the clubhouse with Brian Winslow. He said he jammed his foot on the bag trying to make the play. He's in tremendous pain now. He further damaged the tibia that's been bothering him all year. They're taking him for x-rays, but when he heard about the home run, a big smile crossed his face. Brent?
Yeah, I'll bet it did. The way he played this week with that stress fracture in the tibia area, not wanting to come out after the leg was damaged even further, and now his Shockers are up 5-2 on the home run by Mears. Bottom of the 5th inning. 1 out. Dreifert on at first. Jones, the third baseman, the batter.
What has happened here to Dare is he started to get the ball up. And when you're a left-handed pitcher that does not throw very hard, you're going to have trouble with right-handed hitters if you get the ball up in the strike zone. And that's what's happening to him.
Very close on that outside corner.
Brent, we had talked earlier about when they pitch out, what it does. He pitched out and he took the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, Dare did not want to take the count to 3 and 2 because the runner would be going. So he ends up throwing a fastball. The guy was probably sitting on it, and he was able to hit it out of the ballpark. So the pitch out, I think, really hurt him there.
Knee-high strike, 2 balls and a strike. It's been uphill all game long for Texas. They gave up a run to Wichita State in the first inning as Dare again throws on to Lowry at first base. Too high. 3 balls and 1 strike with 1 out.
Dare cannot afford to pitch behind the count because he cannot afford to throw 3-1, 2-0 fastballs to these hitters.
Even in pain, Winslow has returned to the Wichita State dugout. Strike called, and the count goes 3-2.
That's a good pitch from Dare. He took a little bit off the fastball, and he had Jones out in front.
The injured right leg.
What that plastic does is you can put cold air through there and it acts as ice.
Swung on and missed. Now 2 out.
As I mentioned, Dare made a good 3-1 pitch to get to 3-2. Now he comes back with a very good fastball that sinks down over the outside corner, and Jones chases it.
This Wichita State team has done it the hard way all tournament long. Out west in Fresno, they had to beat the home team. And then the next day on Sunday, to get here, they had to beat Michigan a doubleheader. The Wolverines had already beaten them in soundly. And the Shockers did just that. And now playing for the national championship, they're up 5-2 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Wentworth, who is 2 for 2 and had the biggest home run of the series last night. And the Shockers trailed Florida State 4-1. Taking that knee-high strike again.
Now you see Dare getting the ball down again, and that's how he was successful the past 3 innings. But he threw a couple of high fastballs at the beginning of the inning, and that got him in trouble.
And 1 strike. The other night, Joe, I know you were down in Houston for a game while the Cubs were hosting the Mets, and the Cubs wanted an extra innings with a squeeze bunt against Davey Johnson and the Mets. The young man who dropped it down, Rick Rono, played college baseball at Wichita State.
Well, I think one of the things that we've noticed about Gene Stevenson is that he likes to use the bunt, and I'm sure he learned the bunt while he was at Wichita State because he used it very effectively.
Hit deep to right field. Going back is Schultz. And in front of the warning track with the wind blowing it in, he makes the put out. Without that wind, who knows? Wentworth might have had another one. But as it is, Wichita State scores 2 more on Mears' home run. And they lead it 5-2. It'll be Newkirk, Lowry, and
the dangerous part of the ball game for them while they're trailing, because Wichita State has Jim Newland in the bullpen, and we're getting close to Newland time. So that if they do start any kind of attack against Brummett, they will be facing Newland right away. So you want to try to do something this inning or next, because if you get to the 8th or 9th, you're going to have problems.
Brummett has gone all the way here this afternoon as he falls behind Newkirk. 2 balls and no strikes. Newkirk with an infield single in the 4th inning. He also popped up to the second baseman in the 2nd. Brummett.
One thing that I'm impressed with Brummett, even when he misses, he's missing low. He's missing down. If you keep the ball down, you're not going to get hurt by the long ball.
First strike to Newkirk, 3-1, and again he kept that one low.
Yes, and he's throwing 87 miles an hour, and he was around 84 and between 84 and 90 before, so he's still in the same range.
The leadoff hitter for Texas walks here in the 6th inning. Now, the Longhorns hopeful that the bottom of the batting order can do the same kind of damage that Wichita State has. Last night, the last 3 hitters for the Shockers were 6 of 9 with 7 RBIs, and today they're 4 of 7. And for Gustafson, it'll be Lowry, Schultz, and Bethea. Lowry drove in a run with that sacrifice fly. Makes a strike.
The one thing you can't afford to do if you're a hitter for Texas is take the pitch when it's above the belt. When Brummett gives you a pitch to hit, you have to attack it because he's going to make quality pitches after that. Now he took the pitch right down the middle. Now he's going to go down and away and keep the ball down, and you're probably going to hit a ground ball and do exactly what Brummett wants, and that's hitting a ground ball for a double play. So what Texas has to do is, I think, be a little more aggressive on pitches that he gives them to hit. They're above the waist. I think they have to attack the ball.
Darren Paxton and Jeff Bluma are down in the Wichita State bullpen. And, of course, the closer for them, Jim Newland, probably will be in before this one is over.
And Newland leads the college NCAA, I should say, in saves.
There, as we said, is Bluma. With a single is Lowry, and when the ball fell in that spot, Joe, I'm somewhat surprised that he's not at second base.
Texas is not taking advantage of any opportunity or breaks they get. They get a break here because he hits the ball off the end of the bat. You can see it's tailing away. He hits it off the end of the bat. It falls in fairly down the left field line, and he has to chase it down. And the runner, Lowry, went from the runner, Newkirk, went all the way to third, and he couldn't even make it to second. So I'd have to say that that's not good base running on the part of Texas there.
Runners on at the corners for the Horns, who are down by 3. And here is Jeff Schultz. He has walked and grounded out. And Texas applying some pressure on Brummett. Bounced and blocked by Wedge. And now the ace of the bullpen, Jim Newland, gets up and also begins to loosen up for the first time as the pitching coach comes out to confer with Brummett. That is Newland, number 34.
Well, as I mentioned, this is a very key inning for Texas because you want to try to get something started before they bring in Newland, because if you can get to the 8th inning with a lead, if you're Wichita State, and bring Newland in, you know he's going to close the door. So this is where you want to make your move. And if they do bring Newland in now, he'd have to pitch quite a few innings. So this is a key inning for Texas.
You know, one of the things that fans of Major League Baseball are well aware of is that you count pitches a lot. That's not necessarily so in the College World Series. You see a young man stay out there for 120, 130 pitches sometimes.
Well, I think even now in the Major Leagues, they just start to use that as a guideline. How many pitches has he thrown? If a guy's thrown 130 pitches and he's still throwing well, they're still not going to take him out of the ball game. So I think that's probably a statistic that was used a few years ago that was important. I don't think it's nearly as important now as it was before.
Crowd of 13,701 watching this championship game, and that sets a World Series attendance record. And the pitch to Schultz, missing for the second time. 2 balls and no strikes. Runners on at first and third, and nobody out. It's 5-2, Wichita State with the lead.
I don't think Brummett is tiring because normally you throw a lot of high pitches when you start to tire. You stop bending your back so you don't get the ball down. He is continuing to throw low. Even the ones that are missing for strikes are still down in the strike zone or just below the strike zone. So I don't think he's tiring. I think he's just losing his location a little bit.
There's the strike. Take a look at that speed chart, how he dipped in the 5th, but he has come back here in the 6th.
But even more important than the speed of his pitches is the movement on his pitches. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He doesn't rely on his speed.
There was a sinker hit right to McDonald. The throw to shortstop, and no throw back. And coming in for Texas is Newkirk to make it a 5-3 game. It looked like he might have had a play on a relay throw back to McDonald.
Well, you see McDonald charges the ball, and he does a good job. He gives a good throw to second base, making sure that one. And I think that's what you have to do. And there you see Newkirk coming in to score the run.
Newkirk scoring on the fielder's choice. It's a 5-3 game. Throw over with the shortstop, Steve Bethea. Stepping in. One ball and no strikes. The count on Bethea.
Brett, when you look at a speed gun, the way to really use the speed gun is when a guy like Nolan Ryan is throwing, who relies on his fastball and the velocity of his fastball. When he starts to drop in miles per hour, it has an effect. But a sinker ball pitcher, it does not really affect his pitches just because he loses a mile or two on his fastball.
There was that location, Joe, right on the inside corner. A very tough pitch to hit. 1-1 the count on Bethea.
And I'm sure that Gene Stevenson sees what I see, and that is that he is not tiring. It's just that he was missing a little bit with his location. We're going to look at a Texas runner taking his lead. Unorthodox crossover step in front of the body. Normally you have the crossover step behind the body.
Line drive right at Mears. Two out. John Prather due up for Texas.
We talk about him keeping the ball down. See, when he gets it up a little bit, they have a chance to drive the ball. And that's what I was saying, that the Texas hitters, if he gets the ball above the waist, they should go ahead and swing. Do not take those strikes above the waist. When a sinker ball pitcher gets the ball up, his ball straightens out.
That outside corner.
But see, that's another pitch that was up in the strike zone, and there's less movement on the ball up there from a sinker ball pitcher.
To bunt and fouls it back.
Here again, John Prather has struggled with the bat here in the College World Series, so he tries to do something else to help his team by bunting and getting on base, because they need base runners right here, and he doesn't feel that he can hit the ball out of the ballpark or hit an extra base, get an extra base hit, so he's trying to do anything he can to get on base. This would be frowned on in Major League Baseball, but I think it's a good play here in the college baseball.
Hit on the ground to Forbes. He bobbles it. The throw to Mears is in time. Texas scores 1 run on a hit. They leave 1 on, and they're back to within 2. Wichita State will be coming to bat in 1,000 college baseball games, and here in Omaha his record's 41-25. And Gene Stevenson at Wichita State is putting together a tremendous winning percentage too.
Well, I think Gary Ward at Oklahoma State, his team is normally here at the College World Series, so those are 3 quality coaches.
So it's ball 1 on the leadoff hitter, Oddly. Wichita State leading Texas 5-3. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Brian Dare, the relief pitcher for the Longhorns, throws a ground ball goes and booted by Bethea, and that is the 4th infield error by the Horns here this afternoon.
One of the things that happens when a carpet is wet and then it dries out is the ball doesn't roll smoothly. Watch, now skids, see it stay down? The ball was bouncing, and now it stays down. It's bouncing, and he reaches to get the bounce. Now the ball skids right there. And that's what happens when there's a tarp on the infield. It gets wet, and it dries out in certain areas quicker than it does in other areas.
T.J. Forbes, 0 for 2. With the left-hander Dare looking in for the sign. Forbes has checked with his coach. Now he's ready to go. And Audley steps away from first. The bunt takes ball outside.
I don't think there's any doubt that Gene Stevenson is going to try to get an insurance run or two here if he possibly can, because the more runs he can get, the closer it gets him to his closer, Jim Newland, before he has to bring him in. He can use these other guys until Newland gets ready for the 8th and 9th.
Hit in the air, shallow right field. Schultz coming in hard, and he'll make the put out. One away, and the first baseman, Mike McDonald, steps to the plate.
From a coaching perspective, he put the bunt on, then took it off when he took the first pitch away and tried to hit and run. I really like that because that's real aggressive baseball. You're going to bunt the guy over if they give you the chance to first pitch, but when they fall behind and the ad goes to your side of the court, you go ahead and take advantage of it by putting the runner in motion.
We'll see if Stevenson elects to start Audley as center fielder in this situation with his 3-hitter on up. Dare in Texas, mindful of the possibility, attempting to keep him close. Tollison at second shades a step or two towards second. But they straight away at short. Swung on and missed by McDonald. Wedge, the cleanup hitter, is due up next. On the afternoon, McDonald 0 for 3, reached on an air back in the second inning. They hit the ball hard his first time up, line drive to center field. And there's the cleanup hitter, Eric Wedge. Wichita State leading it 5-3. Low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Plate umpire Dale Williams has been very consistent with that knee-high strike.
I think he's done an excellent job, Brent. A lot of times an umpire may be good on the corners, in and out, and not be so consistent up and down, but he's been very consistent both ways.
National Football League head linesman. There's that strike. He's had it working all game long. Pitchers and catchers haven't had to worry about inconsistency once he established the strike zone early on.
And I think that's the key. That's what you want from an umpire. Even if he's given a pitch 6 inches off the plate, as long as he's consistent with it, you know where you have to go with the strike zone. You know what you have to do as a hitter to protect the strike zone.
Hit in the air to center field. Jones makes the second put out of the inning, and now it'll be up to Wedge. Wichita State has led Texas all the way in Omaha. They scored a single run in the first, 2 more in the second, adding 2 in the fifth. The Longhorns with 2 in the fourth and 1 in the sixth, down 5-3. And under this format, even though Texas is unbeaten in this College World Series for the second straight year, it's 1 game for the title. Wichita State beaten once early on, then coming the loser's way, they knocked out Florida State. Grounded foul by Wedge. Two 4-team brackets. You play double elimination within that bracket until you get to the single game championship on Saturday.
Gene Stevenson was talking about Eric Wedge, and he thought that he should have been Player of the Year in college baseball. That's how good a season Wedge has had for Wichita State.
Missing outside low. Interesting symbol.
Looked like 13, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did.
Like a 1 and a 3. That's an unlucky number, isn't it? It's supposed to be, anyway. We'll get another look at it here. There's the 1. And it looks like a 3, but like I say, that's normally unlucky. But I guess it is for some people. Davey Concepcion at Cincinnati wore 13 for a long period of time, and he was a pretty good player, had a lot of luck.
Chico Simone used to sleep with the lights on. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Hits a right field in the air, and Schultz measures it for the 3rd out of the inning. 3 fly ball outs that inning. And Texas will be coming to the plate in the 7th inning, trailing 5. Wichita State ahead. Texas sends up its leadoff hitter, Jones, who takes a strike. Center fielder Lance Jones, he dropped down that bunt and collided with Winslow back in the 5th inning, forcing the Wichita State first baseman out of the game. There's a strike on the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes. And Newland, the stopper, again getting ready in the Wichita State bullpen as we have reached the last 3rd of this game into the 7th inning. Missing.
I think Brummett, as I mentioned last inning, is still throwing well. I think Stevenson will go with him as long as he possibly can, but when you have a guy like Newland in the bullpen, you just do not take any chances at all that you can possibly help him.
A little high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the rally caps are on in the Texas dugout.
You know, the one thing about Dale Williams that I like, Brent, is that there's no such thing as a close pitch. It's either a ball or a strike. He makes a very distinct call. It's not like he's hesitating anytime on a close pitch or what people call close pitches.
Count going full. Newland already with 3 saves for Wichita State,
which ties the College World Series record. And he's already tied the record for 4 appearances. So if he does come in the ball game, he'll set a College World Series record for appearances.
Out of play. Or do you think your friend Gene Stevenson is getting plenty of respect these days?
Well, I think he's shown his winning percentage. I think he's a little happier. There he is there. He's comfortable right now.
Hey, hey. Come on, defense. Don't have spike. Here we go, hit.
He's a very interesting individual.
They've done a fabulous job with this baseball program. 3 and 2. And the leadoff hitter is on. That brings the tying run to the plate, and that for the first time, Brummett's not too sure about that call. He thought he had that corner.
He definitely thought that was strike 3. And he has not shown a lot of emotion there on the mound, especially where pitches are concerned.
Now Tollison, the second baseman, been on base 1 time in his 3 at-bats, a single to center field. He also has grounded out and popped out. Brummett has thrown well over 100 pitches now into the 7th inning. Sends Jones diving back into the bag. Already Texas has had 1 man picked off first. That was Tollison back in the 1st inning, and it was a critical point of this game as the Horns put runners on the corners right away. There's a ground ball fielded at short by Mears, and he forces a runner at second base. Converted from third base, Mears, forced to play shortstop in this World Series, comes up with the play, going into the hole, and forcing Jones out at second.
The ball is grounded in the hole, and the throw to second base goes over to Forbes, and you can see it's a close play at second base. And Forbes gets a little spike.
Now it is Scott Bryant who opened up this game as the pitcher and the designated hitter for the Longhorns, and who has stayed in the game as the DH. But he has struck out twice, singled once, and scoring a run, which was Texas' first run back in the 4th inning. This one hit on the ground at Forbes. Chance for a double play. Mears to first. They've got the double play. Wichita State moves 6 outs away from its first ever national championship. CBS Sports coverage of the 1989 NCAA College World Series Championship game will continue.
Battle the Lakers on their star-studded home turf. The finals, Game 3, tomorrow. Rock on!
Wichita State 5, Texas 3. Bottom of the 7th inning. It'll be Wilson, Mears, and Dreifert due up here for the Shockers. Mears shocking Texas with that 2-run homer last at bat as Wilson takes the ball outside and high. Brian Dare, who came in the first inning. Wilson bunting on him foul.
That was a breaking ball down and in, and that's a tough pitch to bunt and keep fair. And he tried to get it down the third baseline, but he pulled it foul.
Dare has surrendered only 5 hits in this game, but Wichita State has made the most of them, scoring 4 runs. Some shaky defense back in the 2nd inning when the Longhorns committed 3 errors.
Inning when they scored 2 insurance runs by hitting a single to left field and scoring on Mears' home run.
And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hey, we've got to give a little tip of the hat to Mother Nature. Early this morning, we might not have been able to play this game if that rain had kept up. But since about mid-morning, it has stopped. Skies stayed a little overcast here in Omaha, but it's been a great day for a baseball game.
Yeah, Newkirk, the delay is caused by Newkirk. He's having a problem with his glove, so he went into the Texas dugout. And there you see Prather taking the stroll out and talking to Brian Dare.
Joe, what's your feeling about the Major League draft? Some of the coaches unhappy here that they do it during the World Series, wishing that the Major Leagues would wait until the week after.
Well, and that's probably would be better for colleges, but the way the Major League, they sign these guys and send them out to play the rest of the year, so I think it's important for them to get them out as soon as possible. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. Who do you help or who do you hurt?
Wilson swings and misses, and now here was Mears' previous trip, Joe.
Well, I think the important thing here is watch his head. Watch when he makes contact. See, there's not much head movement right there. You can draw a line from the top of his head straight down through his body. That's good balance, and that's the way you hit balls out of the ballpark. I think if you see Major League hitters and they show you that position, that's when they really drive the ball well.
And that 2-run homer by Mears in the 5th inning, the difference right now. Wichita State 5, Texas 3 as he fouls one away off his leg. Mears also has walked and struck out. Longhorns staying within striking distance in this championship game.
Talking about Wichita State and how down Gene Stevenson was last year after they lost, and consequently they were beaten and knocked out of the tournament the next day. This year, after winning last night's ball game, he was high, and I think that's reflected in your team, because I I really believe that the team is really an extension of the manager. His personality is taken on by the team. If you're kind of a hyper individual, usually your team will be hyper. And I think Texas is just the opposite. They take Cliff's attitude, and the Wichita State Shockers take Gene's attitude. And I think that's the difference between the two teams. One is a little more hyper than the other.
The hyper team leading right now. 1-2, and there's strike 3. There. Back-to-back strikeouts here to start the 7th, and now it's Dreifort.
As I mentioned, Dale Williams has been pretty consistent all game long, and right there he's consistent again, right on the knees. That's a pretty good pitch, and especially, as they say, too close to take with 2 strikes.
Dreifort 1 for 3. A single back in the 5th.
Sudden, Dare seems to be getting a little stronger out there. And he's pitched about 6 innings so far.
And this is supposed to be a short man.
Exactly.
Popped it up. Newkirk drifting over to make the put out. Wichita State down in the 7th. The Longhorns.
Aston Grady atop the leaderboard at -8. Because of the rain delay, they won't finish until about 9 o'clock tonight. But we'll be following the progress of those two, Norman and Ballesteros. Back to baseball.
Right-hander Greg Brummett has gone all the way for Wichita State. 6 outs away from the school's first ever national championship in any sport. The Longhorns trying to come from behind and win their 5th baseball title alone. Arthur Butcher, the left fielder and cleanup hitter, taking a ball down low. And in the bullpen, the ace of the Shocker staff, Jim Newland. Back up in case Brummett gets into any kind of trouble at all.
And so far, Brent, the game has really followed the pattern we talked about in the beginning. And that is, with Scott Bryant, you had an unknown quantity, and you didn't know how long he was going to last. And he didn't last very long. And with Brummett, a guy that's won 12 ball games in a row, we were comfortable with the fact that he would pitch a fine ball game for Wichita State. And he's done just that.
It's 2 balls and 1 strike. How effective is the Wichita State bullpen? Well, they are 65-0 when leading or tied in the 6th inning. And that man right there is the biggest reason why.
And we are in the 8th inning. And they lead.
Inside corner. Butcher thinking the ball was a little high and tight, and it's 2-2. Swung on and missed. 5 outs to go.
As I mentioned, Greg Brummett has been in control the whole ball game, and he still has his good stuff. As we get a look here, as he strikes out Arthur Butcher with a good running fastball. You can see the movement on the ball. It starts in the middle of the plate and moves on the outside corner. Good
5 strikeouts as Newkirk steps in.
It's a good slider, so he still has command of both pitches.
2 of the 3 runs Brummett has surrendered were unearned. Back in the 4th inning. Ground ball up the middle. Nice stop by Mears. Throw to first on a bounce. McDonald makes the pickup.
It's a great play on behalf of both these fielders. First, the shortstop Mears goes behind the bag and makes a fantastic stop. But this ball is hit right back through the middle, and he stretches out completely. Now the great play is by McDonald at first base. Excellent play. You see Mears gets a good jump on the ball, stretches out as far as he can, tries to set himself. Can't get a lot on the throw, but McDonald comes up with another good play. He's made 3 good plays since he took over for Winslow. First baseman David Lowry.
if he can knock down Lowry, it would be the 7, 8, and 9 hitters due up for Texas in the 9th inning. With Winslow still watching from the dugout. Ball hit out of play. Even before the latest injury, Joe, they said that injured leg would be put in a cast just as soon as the World Series ended.
Well, I was trying to explain that. I probably didn't do a good job of it earlier. That plastic goes over your entire leg. And what they can do is filter cold air to any spot that they want on the leg.
Slap foul.
So if you have one little part that's hurting more than another, you can isolate the icing, so to speak. You can put all the cold air right to one spot. You ask me how I know. I've been injured all over the place. I've had quite a few injuries, and I've been in one of those myself a couple of times. And it works very effective. Brummett seems to be throwing a little harder, but he seems to be trying to throw a little harder at this point. He may be trying to finish it up, or he may be trying to say to himself, I'm going to give all I've got left and turn it over to Newland.
Ground ball. McDonald's got it. Brummett gets quickly off the mound to cover, and Texas goes in order in the 8th. 3 outs to go for the Shockers. And in the bottom of the 8th, they'll send up Jones, Wentworth, and Audley. We'll be right back to celebrate in Wichita. Let's go to Leslie.
That's right, Brent. I'm here with the president of Wichita State. Dr. Armstrong, you're 3 outs away from what would be the first Wichita State any title of any sport. What would it mean to the school?
Well, I think it demonstrates our commitment to academic excellence as well as athletic excellence. We're really pleased to be here, and I really want it for the kids.
Best of luck. Congratulations. Back to you.
All right, Leslie, thank you. Here in the bottom of the 8th inning, Jones, the third baseman, the leadoff hitter, against Brian Dare, who relieves Scott Bryant with 2 out in the first inning, and the bases loaded. He has gone the rest of the way for the Horns, betrayed by his infield defense in the second inning. When Wichita State scored 2, they added 2 more on a Mears home run. And they're ahead 5-3. Hit on a line to left field. Butcher makes the put out.
Wichita State people wearing their rally caps. They say they don't have enough, I guess. It's kind of an interesting name for an outfielder, huh? Brent Butcher.
Here's Wentworth.
He probably takes a lot of teasing from his teammates about that.
Wentworth will never forget the postseason he's enjoyed for Wichita State.
That's a good curveball from Dare. He has not thrown many good curveballs for strikes. He's thrown them where they start in the strike zone and break out, and he gets some hitters to chase them, but that was an excellent curveball on the outside corner.
7 straight. Dare has retired.
As I mentioned last night, it seems to be getting stronger. He looks like he's throwing better than he was before.
Hit hard, but Lowry makes the pickup, and there are 2 out.
If Texas is not able to come back, they can't fault the effort of Brian Dare, because he has done an excellent job. And as you mentioned, except for the couple of errors there, he could have actually been in a tie ball game now.
When you go back to that rundown between third and home, when the third baseman took his eye off the runner, wanted to check where the other runner was, dropped the ball, and the game more or less turned around right there.
I agree with you. I think the real problem with that is he was trying to make a double play. He wanted to see where the other runner was so he could maybe get him in a run down afterwards. So it was a very key error in this ball game.
No balls and a strike with 2 out. Oddly has been on base 3 times today. He's walked, and he has also reached on a pair of errors. And he dropped down a beautiful sacrifice bunt. Swung on and missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He was trying to get
I guarantee he's throwing harder now than he was when he started the ball game. Amazing. This will be his first NCAA championship.
Well, he's got 3 outs to go to get it. Wichita State down in order in the bottom of the 8th. Terrific performance by Brian Dare, wasn't it? And now it'll be up to the bottom of the Texas lineup to get something going. They're down by 2. It'll be Schultz, Bethea, and either Prather or a pinch hitter. The last time a team other than one from California, Arizona, Florida, or Texas was Ohio State back in 1966. And now 3 outs to go for Wichita. 5-3, and Greg Brummett, who has gone all the way, will square off against the bottom third of the Texas batting order.
Brummett is out there to try to finish it up. Like I say, he threw a lot harder last inning than he had for a few innings, and I think he's going to let it all go right here. You see, the one thing that Texas hitters cannot do is walk up there and get behind in the count. You have to attack the baseball. If you go up looking for walks, you're going to get behind in the count, and he makes one good pitch and you'll be out.
Remarkable comeback team.
So it's not over till it's over, right? That's what Yogi would say.
Greg's mother, grandmother, father, all watching from the stands. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Family lives in Wichita. Greg attended Northwest High School, so a hometown boy started hoping to bring great joy to that city. Count now has gone full.
And you can see a little expression on Gene Stevenson's face there saying, hey, don't walk the guy. Make him swing the bat.
Ground ball fielded by McDonald. Brummett covering. 1 out. 2 outs to go.
I tell you what, Brent, if there's a better first baseman on the Wichita team than McDonald, I'd like to see him. Obviously, we haven't seen Winslow at his best, but this guy can play first base.
You may see more of him. He was drafted by the San Francisco Giants, as was the pitcher, Greg Brummett.
I'm impressed with his defensive work, especially coming over after starting in the outfield.
Now it's the shortstop, Steve Bethea, looking for his first hit. Swung on and missed. Ball on a strike, and Kevin Pate has grabbed a bat. He's moved to the on-deck circle. He'll be pinch hitting for the catcher, John Prather. It's 5-3, Wichita State ahead. 1 out. Swung on and missed. This is a team which last year moved to within 1 strike 3 times of reaching the championship game against the ultimate winner Stanford and then failed.
And I tell you, it was unbelievable, Brent. I was working that game, and it just seems they were going to get the strike and never could.
In the air to right center field, and on the run, Jim Ottley makes the putout.
That's a situation there, Brett, where the wind really hurt Texas there because it's a crosswind blowing to left field. But they hit that ball awfully hard up the gap, but the wind just held it up. And you can see the looks on their faces. That tells the whole story there.
And it comes down to the sophomore from Houston's Springwoods High School, Kevin Pate. This is his first at-bat in Omaha during this World Series. Got to be a great feeling for this young man. And one of sadness in that dugout. Now 1 strike away.
I tell you, I've been in this situation myself on both sides. And there is really one of elation on one and really a downer on the other.
Check swing. Did not go, according to umpire Steiner. Dugout waiting to explode. Let the celebration begin in Wichita. The Shockers have won a championship. And how about Winslow? You can't keep a good man down. With nobody happier than the mother of the pitcher. And no one sadder than that great Texas team.
Well, I would get a good look at the last pitch of the 1989 College World Series. It's a good fastball off the outside corner. And Greg Brummett does his job. And this is his 13th win in a row, and that's a great way to finish it. A strikeout in Wichita State's first NCAA College World Championship.
Watching her son win for the 18th time this year. Gene Stevenson has brought 3 teams to Omaha this decade, and finally, the championship is his. And we'll be back to hear from the happy winners in just a moment. Horns on the short end of a 5-3 decision at the hands of Wichita State. Greg Brummett today beat this Longhorn team and threw 140 pitches in the process. Let's go to Leslie Visser.
Well, congratulations to you both. Coach, you told us the other day that this team always finds a way.
It's the greatest bunch of people I've ever been associated with. It's just words I can't come up with. I mean, each time we just keep coming back with something new and somebody else. And, you know, Bryant Winslow did everything he could do to stay in there, and he couldn't do it.
What about you, Greg? Did you think you could go the distance? Tremendous performance.
There was no doubt in my mind right from the beginning. I just knew I could beat these guys, and I kept telling myself I could. And I got a lot of help in the defensive.
For the Wichita
A lot of clutch hits when we had to, and it's just the greatest feeling of all time.
Well, congratulations to both of you. You are aptly named the Shockers. Back to you, Brent.
All right, Leslie. Greg Brummett winning for the third time here in Omaha. This team did it the hard way, and they did it with style.
Sports Saturday Special Edition, the 1980 NCAA College World Series Championship has been sponsored by the American Express card. Membership has its privileges. Isuzu, the first car builders of Japan. And by your friends at Anheuser-Busch, who remind you to know when to say when.
Well, Wichita State a winner, and Joe Morgan, what about the voting for the MVP of this tournament?
Well, Greg Brummett is the winner, and I don't think there's any doubt because he was the most valuable player on the field today, and he dominated Texas for 9 innings. He could have had a shutout, maybe. He pitched that well, but he never got a ball above the knees. I thought that was great.
And the winning runs were supplied by shortstop Pat Mears, who slammed a 2-run homer in the 5th inning. Greg Brummett and the Wichita State Shockers win the championship, and we'll continue after this message and a word for your local station. Don't forget, Westchester Golf is coming your way next.